Bob from the Navy.
Absolutely, and lots of great information and background on Bob. What an interesting career, and looking forward to this Lone Sailor project getting off the ground and become reality over in Baldwin Park in Orlando.
For sure. It's just another opportunity for folks that want to preserve a memory, like you mentioned, for a loved one or somebody they knew that was in service, maybe somebody's currently serving.
Oh, absolutely.
And just pony up the bucks, people, and it'll be a lasting memorial to honor somebody you know, but in particular, everybody that served in the military.
Yeah, and I guess I'd add one more thing to that. Since somebody bought a paver for me out at the Veterans Memorial Center, and I'm still alive, you don't have to buy a paver for somebody that's deceased.
That's a good point. Yes, you've got a really nice spot for yours, too, on one of the, I think it's one of the spokes that go out from the main...
Yeah, it is. Very moving. I mean, you know, usually you get street named after you and all that kind of stuff after you're gone, not while you're still here.
And we're talking about Glenn's centerpiece at the Memorial Plaza at the Veterans Memorial Center, located on Sykes Creek Parkway, southeast corner of the Merritt Square Mall. Folks, if you haven't been there, especially if you live here in the local area, you've got to stop by. It's free to tour the museum, and that's one of our biggest words here on AWR.
Yeah, our favorite word, free, and you can't miss it. It's catty corner behind the Merritt Square Mall, and you got two Hueys flying straight at you. You're not going to miss that.
And it's growing. They're adding to it. I think they just added the War Dog Monument.
Yes,
recently.
they did. And of course, there's also a tank out there, one of the smaller tanks they use in the Korean conflict. And for its size, they have a totally outstanding museum out there that has a continual changing array of military paraphernalia that's really mind-boggling considering the size of it and what they have out there.
Yeah, and Alex is one of the curators out there. Just really appreciate his efforts. And Dr. Bill Vianos, who is the president of the Veterans Memorial Center, is looking to involve the younger generation. So if you're a younger vet like me, 50 below or older, doesn't matter. If you want to get involved and volunteer,
like
yeah, you are an old man here. There's plenty of opportunity, folks, but at least plan a visit to just pop in over there and check out the museum. They've also got a wonderful library you can loan books out of.
Yeah, which has gotten totally organized. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but
his name is Pat Clendenning. Shout out to you, Pat. You're doing a wonderful job there.
Absolutely, and they love school field trips out there. So listen in, all you teachers out there.
Right on the river. Couldn't be a more beautiful location. It sounds like an advertisement for this place, but
it probably is in a way.
Host your wedding, any type of social event. Just get in touch with Dr. Bill Vianos. What's the number there at the VMC?
453-1776. If you need to put an area code, of course, it's 321-453-1776.
Love the last four digits on that number. All right, so we got that out of the way. I want to quickly mention something else. We're always coming across folks who lose a loved one, and Karen Eggleston lost her husband. He was killed in action in Afghanistan less than a month ago. And thanks to wonderful donations that have come in and the wonderful support from Daniel Cook, who is a member of the Golden Knights, the U.S. Army's parachute, demonstration team?
Yeah, they're a premier parachute demonstration team. Boy, those guys are talented.
Yes, they are. And he's actually doing an air show in New York City, but he organized a lot of this and has had some donations come through AVET Project. We were able to send Karen up to the TAPS program over Memorial Day, Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. I mean, it's to experience a death, and especially one that's associated with military service, is very challenging, but we're still in need of some donations so that we can have her and her family hosted down here in Central Florida for a nice little retreat, a respite from all this horrifying circumstances she's dealing with in mid-July. So if you'd like to make a donation to benefit Karen and her family, please jump online to avetproject.org, avetproject.org. Click on the donate button and just make a comment for Eggleston. That's Eggleston, Eggleston, and any monies contributed through that will go to her. We talk with her on a regular basis. It was a great benefit for her to have visited the TAPS program up in D.C. over Memorial Day. But we want to make sure that we honor her sacrifice and her children. They're very young. They're, I think, 1 and 4. Just please, folks, if you can give, we appreciate that. And as always, we encourage you to jump online and make a contribution. We still got tons of EEBs, our care packages, we've got to get shipped out to our troops. We're doing them as we can, as we have funds for shipping, but every dollar helps. So pop online. You can also make a donation via Facebook. But just get involved. We'll mention a couple other fundraisers we've got, but let's get back to some hot topics here, Glenn. What do you got for us?
Yeah, before we jump into that, just tell them real quick how much it takes to ship one of those EEBs over to support a troop.
Yeah, listen, they're about 15 pounds, but the post office doesn't do it by weight. We could pack in 50 pounds if we could, but they raised the rate from $12.95 to $13.45. So it's $13.45 a piece, and we have still about a couple hundred, and we're going to be doing another pack out at Boeing here in July. So folks, if you can make a donation, we'd really appreciate it. And more than that, the troops will appreciate it, because it's like Christmas when they get this, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's direct support for the troops over there that are fighting to preserve our freedoms. And they're fighting it over there, so we don't fight it over here. And if you think it's not going to happen over here, wait till we're done over there. That's my take on it.
And my producer's just squawking at me about mentioning that the program we could be using, if a congressman, if a legislator had the brass, he or she could support this in amending a current law enacted back in the Kennedy administration, Title 10, Section 402, which authorizes the use of taxpayer-funded military transports to ship aid and air care packages and what have you to those needy folks over in foreign countries. Let's put it a different way. If you were a nonprofit and you wanted to help out the local Afghan children, boom, the program's in place, taxpayer-funded military transport, we'll find a spot on the plane for it, get it over there, handle the logistics to distribute it. But, and this is a big but, it cannot and will not be used to support our troops. So all these nonprofits like AWR Project and others that want to send love and support through care packages or what have you are prohibited because of Title 10, Section 402. Just doesn't allow that. We need folks to make some noise. Contact your congressman, even state legislators, and let them make some noise to get this law amended. It's before Congressman Posey, Congressman West, and Senator Rubio, but none of them have acted. And it's really important because this doesn't cost a dime. All the infrastructure is already in place. They simply need to change the wording, and then boom, we have got some wonderful support lined up. And
yeah, I mean, the planes are already going there anyway. I mean, this is not extra. It doesn't cost any extra fuel to the military or anything else. It's just it makes absolutely no sense. When you get through shaking your head like me, call your congressman, call your senators, and express your outrage and demand that get fixed.
No kidding, because that's what's holding most of us back, is just the shipping costs alone.
I know, and in the meantime, get some donations to AVET, because as I've told you before, I'm one of the most cynical people around because of my position, and I see all the frauds going around. AVET is the real deal, American Veteran Empowerment Team, and any donations you put there are going to go to direct support active duty and other veterans in need.
Exactly, and we couldn't do it without our volunteers, because we are an all-volunteer organization. Nobody's getting a paycheck. Everything that comes in goes back out in programs and services of support for our past and present military members. But you were talking about scams and things like that, so it's kind of a natural lead into what we've got to talk about here, huh?
Yeah, there's another one.
This is a bad one.
Yeah, this is a bad one, and the most current one going around. That this has drawn enough attention to get the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, which handles all the pay matters for the military, and including retirees, to get involved and send out warnings on it. And other DoD component places have sent out warnings. So this, that's how bad it is. But what's going on is emails are being sent to individuals who, active duty, military retirees, even veterans, telling them that they're entitled to some extra money from the IRS if they're receiving disability compensation from the VA or military retired pay, And
But it looks official too. When you get this email,
oh
it's got
yeah,
a .mil, a .mil, so it must be legitimate, right?
exactly. And unfortunately, people are not doing as they should before they donate, and that's get a lot of information about who they're donating to, and they're it's terrible. Individuals who are getting this are then being asked to provide what? What do they want them to give so you can see the seriousness of this?
Yeah, they're asking for all kinds of personal information. They may be requesting rating decisions and anything that comes through email. Because we got to make this clear, folks. If you and listen up, please. If you get an email solicitation for information that's very personal and private, like your social security number, your rating decision, anything that has been issued via the U.S. mail to you from a government agency, but you got some outfit asking for it via email, it doesn't happen.
No.
And didn't the IRS come out with a fact sheet about this?
Yeah, they've come out with a fact sheet, and these people,
they want income tax returns. They want VA award letters.
They want your DD Form 214. All of this lets them do what? Steal your identity and then steal your money as a result of that. They can open up credit card accounts with your name and everything else. It's horrible, horrible.
Exactly,
and it's going on, or the government wouldn't be putting out all these warnings.
Right, and this is a fact sheet put out by the Internal Revenue Service. It's labeled refund schemes related to military disability compensation. So somehow they've gotten a hold of a master list of folks that are getting VA comp.
Oh yeah, well I'm sure it's one of these misguided computer experts out there has hacked into some database somewhere and gotten all this information.
Exactly.
You read in the newspapers about it all the time, so apparently it's not that hard anymore to hack into almost anything. There's ne'er-do-wells out there with the skills to do that, unfortunately.
Okay, so email indicates that individuals receiving VA disability compensation, that's a lot of you out there, and I'm sure non-service connected pension as well, can receive additional funds from the IRS. When's the last time the IRS said, hey, I got money for you, let me send it to you? And then they want VA award letters, income tax returns, 1099s, DFAS, the retired account statements,
right.
DD 214s. Oh, but you're going to be sending this all to a retired colonel at an address in Florida.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, run these to ground. If you don't exactly know how to do that, don't give them the documents and don't give them your money.
Well, the bottom line there is that the IRS is warning everybody that they do not make solicitations or requests for information via email. So if you get it over your email, you know it's a scam. If you get it over email and you have a question, then contact the IRS or the Social Security or whoever's supposedly sent you this email.
Yeah, pick up the phone and call them.
And then you may want to call some local legal authority too, because this kind of fraud needs to be nipped in the bud.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, this will propagate itself in some other form down the road. So be on your guard. Don't just accept things that look official all at one time. Run these to ground. If you don't have any means to do that, or you're not sure how to do that, then just ignore it. Don't respond to it. Don't give away your private, personal information.
Click spam, and then next time it comes in, it'll go right into your spam
there you
file.
Go.
The IRS does not initiate contact with taxpayers by email. That's just it. That's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
No government organization is going to be doing that. You may have made contact with one of these outfits, maybe Social Security or even maybe the VA, which is unlikely, and there could be some follow-on emails, but not from the outset. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and VA, to forestall a future one, that somebody will use the VA name like they have before. VA doesn't solicit any of that stuff by email either.
Yeah, so just be careful and don't automatically, when someone's asking for personal information anymore, I don't know, when I'm at a counter, I watch when I'm plugging in my PIN number anymore because of all the various scams.
Any way I can. If somebody's standing nearby, I'm with you, brother.
Exactly. There's a lot of other things going on, but one thing I wanted to touch on, and I know you've got a couple other topics there, the unemployment rate is skyrocketing for vets, and in May the numbers were rather dismal. The national unemployment, as we all know from watching the news, rose up to 8.2%, which I think is probably not even a real reflection of what it is. I think that those numbers have been dumbed down and contorted and misconstrued, and
Well, liars figure and figures lie.
yeah, that's the truth. Well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that unemployment for veterans who served in the military since 2001 is almost 13% now, 12.7%. And this is a jump from 9.2% during the last reporting cycle in April. So you're talking 3.5 percentage points increase in just a month.
That's terrible.
And I don't care what anybody, we don't get involved in politics here, but folks, our vets are coming back, particularly the Guard and Reserves, who had jobs before they got called up or federalized. They come back, those jobs aren't there, they're hurting.
Yep, exactly. But, that's a good segue into an article I picked up from the CEO from Prudential Insurance Company, one of the major insurance companies in America. And I'll just pick out some relevant parts here. It's, he indicated the data shows that vets typically work harder, longer, don't take as many sick days, and they have the demonstrated ability to inculcate themselves into the culture and improve the systems. I like to tell people, what would you as a company do with someone who has, over the last 10 years, served in the world's most arduous environment, operated the most technically advanced equipment, made life and death decisions in a place where those decisions have geopolitical consequences, and returned and served with honor? Those people could do pretty much anything you ask them to do, and anything you will train them to do. And more in that same vein.
Well said.
Well said, and backs up what we tell you all the time. Our opinion is, and that's, you're getting the best deal in the world to hire a vet. So why do we have a higher unemployment rate? At least corporate America, some of it's starting to come around, and that's encouraging.
And the leader of the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, also a career military man, Colonel Pendergrast, singled out one of the local National Guard units, the 715th MP Company here in Melbourne, Florida, for those of you listening elsewhere, as having some of the highest unemployment rates in the state of Florida among the National Guard units. The commander, Captain Kevin Farrell, I just spoke with him this last week. Nearly 20-some% of his squad, and there's only 200 of them, are unemployed.
Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Yeah, this cannot stand, folks. And for a country that's so rich in history and resources and, quite honestly, wealth. I mean, even our folks that live on the poverty level are living many, many rungs ahead of third world countries.
Oh, absolutely. And, back to what I just said, excellently put by the CEO of Prudential. That's the best bargain in the world to hire a vet.
No kidding, and there are lots of incentive programs, and I applaud the current administration for their efforts to try and highlight the needs of our veterans. I know there's been some back and forth and what have you, but my goodness, you're getting warriors, war fighters that are trained, skilled, dedicated, they're committed. These folks know how to work and work hard and work smart.
That's right.
And like you mentioned, Glenn, they have a wealth of experience on the geopolitical. It's not just like they can work on an assembly line floor, and I'm sure any of them can, but they have an appreciation for world affairs too, so they can see the big picture.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fee is going to higher?
They, as said, they're dedicated. You don't have as many sick days and so forth and so on. They're not a problem employee for you. And it's the greatest bargain there is. Even the VA has gone back to putting in special hiring programs and job seminars to up the number of veterans that they have in their workforce. It kind of slipped for a while, and I don't know what all the reasons were behind that. And asking them is not going to produce any clear answers to it, in my opinion. But they were making visiting colleges just like corporate America does, and hiring people graduating right out of college. And we advocates were jumping all over them for not first trying everything they can to hire veterans to do those jobs. and I think they finally got the message. They've ramped up a lot of their programs to try and hire more veterans, and that's a very good thing. So, something else I'm sure Secretary Shinseki put in and deserves the applause for that effort.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to mention real quick that Everest University here locally has an interesting program coming up where anybody that's interested in going to school, they've got a big open house. You'll be able to check the details on avetproject.org. And also, the Servicemen's Civil Relief Act, which is supposed to guarantee folks have their jobs when they come back and things like that. We got lots of rules and laws on the books. It's whether or not they're being applied and followed.
And whether they're being enforced, exactly, because it seems like, unfortunately, some companies have gotten real good at figuring a way around the Civil Relief Act and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if they're really getting around it or just ignoring it and nobody's enforcing it, but it needs to change.
Right, and there's, like I said, there's Hire Heroes, there's a number of different ones, and another comes to mind, User VA, USERVA, Uniform Services Employment and Reemployment of Veterans Act. There's some initiatives on the table right now. If you're a company looking to hire vets, believe me, you're going to get some tax breaks and some real incentives to hire folks that have served honorably for our nation. And as you always mentioned, they're over there fighting these wars in foreign lands, so we don't have them over here.
Oh, exactly. And in a future show, we're going to talk to you about another initiative going on, and that's VRAP. And I'm not going to tell you what it means because I want you to listen to the future
It's
show.
good stuff, though.
But it's good stuff, and it's a great employment initiative for older unemployed veterans.
Yeah, so tune in next week. I think we'll have it on next week's episode.
Yeah, I think we'll do next week. That'll be a good time to do that.
I think so. So you want to tune in next week, next Saturday from 11 to noon on AM 1300 WMEL, the Talk to Me station for American Warrior Radio, because we're going to have some really cool information about how older vets, not maybe the younger vets, this 2001 forward, but older vets, those in-betweeners, like me, for instance, can get some direct assistance, and it's a heck of a program. We'll talk about that.
You bet.
Let's briefly mention, though, we've got Keltec, which is a firearms manufacturer here in Cocoa, has been so supportive of AVET Project and our efforts to support our military and their families. They have donated another shotgun. They have donated a firearm. It's a KSG 12-gauge dual tube. It's just a beautiful gun. It sells for about $1,000. If you'd like a ticket to win, $10 will buy you a crack at it. $10. Go to avetproject.org. It's a beautiful firearm. Keltec's all-American made, employs Americans. Some 40% of their workforce is veterans. American parts. They stand behind their products 100%, and they're directly supporting the troops.
How much is a ticket for that?
$10.
$10
at a crack at $1,000 shotgun. And we got something from the American Legion Post 163.
Yeah, this is for proceeds to support AVET and one of their projects. They're having a
it's an auction.
Oh yeah,
it's a raffle.
I went brain dead. They're having a raffle to put out an Android tablet.
How much a ticket for that?
Oh, it's a whole $5 for a ticket to get an Android, and those puppies run in the $400 range.
Yep,
so.
And you can get 3 tickets for $10.
And it's getting to be where you almost can't live without one of these. I'd like to have TV out on the porch when I go out there. And Bright House has an application that could do that, but I need a tablet or an iPhone to do it, and I don't own either of them. I'm using
buy a ticket, Glenn. Come on.
I'm going to buy a bunch of tickets because I'm using an iPhone. For my iPhone, I'm using Dixie cups and string.
It's an Android tablet offered by American Legion Riders, Chapter 163 here in Melbourne. And $5. You can get a hold of us at avetproject.org. You can also call us 321-373-7046 or call the station at any time 321-631-1300. 631-1300. Just they'll get you in touch with AVET Project, but it's always best to go online. avetproject.org. Click on the Facebook tab, lower left, see all kinds of things going on. You can make a donation there, even for the Eggleston family whose husband was killed in action. Folks, we just really appreciate you tuning in to American Warrior Radio this week and every week, because we try to bring you the news and notes that are important to you, and we've always got some great opportunities to either volunteer or just be involved with the veterans movement. As always, we appreciate it, and
Don't forget, think of that.